Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. 2 years ago, I tried my hand at gardening for the first time, and it was a wild ride. Now I'm back at it for round two, and I can't wait to show you what I'm growing this time. And I'll share some helpful bits about what I've learned along the way. Let me preface this by saying I have done a ton of research, and I follow several fantastic gardeners on YouTube. You might recognize a few here. From it all, I have corrected a lot of mistakes that I previously made, and I'm having a lot more successes than I had in my first year. Okay, so you may or may not have noticed that my garden is growing inside a cage, a cage that is covered with hardware cloth. Well, there are a few reasons for that. Squirrels and tomato hornworms to name two. Yes, there are a lot more garden pests than those two, but the squirrels are not intimidated by me, and I am afraid of the tomato hornworms. The other pests I can deal with. These gorgeous plants that you've been looking at are my bulbing onions. I am very pleased with their progress so far, but I remain skeptical based on my first experience. I admit it. I totally failed at growing onions the first time. This time, though, I have been far more successful compared to my first attempt. But I still don't know if I'm going to get a decent harvest or not because it's starting to get hot, hot, hot in my area. And even though I'm growing the right variety for my zone 9A area, the short day onion, the fluctuating temperature just isn't a good thing for onions. I've already found three that were in the early stage of bolting. Here are my potatoes, which I ordered online. So far, so good. The foliage looks nice and healthy. I've healed them and will likely heal them one or two more times. Now, whether there are actually potatoes growing beneath that soil remains to be seen. I planted three different types of potatoes: Kennebec, red Lesota, and red gold. Everything else that you are going to see, I'm proud to say that I grew from actual seed, starting with my okra. When I grew okra 2 years ago, I did it fairly well, but I think I planted it in the wrong place. I don't think it had quite enough sunlight, so the harvest wasn't as plentiful as it could have been. These seem to be doing pretty good, though. They're the same type I planted before, jambalaya and cowhorn. I have some zinnias and marigolds growing here in front. I'm not sure what happened with my zinnias, though. I noticed that some of the early leaves are crisp and brown on a portion of their surface, as if they've been scorched. I hardened off all of my plants, so that shouldn't be the issue. Maybe it was fertilizer. But the newer leaves that are coming on are not brown at all. They look healthy, thankfully, and buds are forming on all of them. Here, you'll see my makeshift cucumber and tomato trellis. It's not the typical trellis that you would use for climbing plants, but my cucumbers and tomatoes were supported just fine on it 2 years ago. This year, I purchased one more because they're very inexpensive solution to growing vertically. I'm growing the same two varieties of cucumbers that I grew before, tender green and Diomede. I've also planted some herbs here in front. I have parsley, dill, Tulsi basil, and Cardinal basil, all grown inside from seed. The oregano seeds didn't germinate, unfortunately, but I plan to try it again. Over here in this bed are some of my tomato plants, my Determinate tomatoes. I have Romas and choice container varieties in this bed. There are also sweet banana peppers along with marigolds and Thai basil. I hope I didn't plant my tomatoes too closely together. I might have. Oh well, I planted more tomato seeds than I needed since I had such a poor harvest the first time. So if I need to, I can always prune them back, even though they say you shouldn't prune determinate tomatoes because they grow only for a certain period, unlike indeterminate tomatoes that can keep on growing until they're killed by disease or the cold. more potatoes. Over here are two more tomato beds. Both beds contain indeterminate tomatoes. You'll see that these are in cages and connected to a string. I didn't want them to get totally out of hand in this small space. Do you think this is overkill? I'm growing Golden Jubilee and Boxcar Willie. Again, all from seed. I planted many more Boxcar Willie varieties this time because the last time I tried, I wasn't successful. This time, they all germinated and all grew quite well. So I decided to plant all five of them. This is my first time growing Golden Jubilee. There are only two of those. I'm hoping that I get a harvest before the heat becomes too prolonged and too intense. Unfortunately, I was forced to plant my tomatoes about 2 weeks later than I had planned to because we had an unusually cold winter. It lasted longer than our normal last frost date. So, right during the time when I should have been putting my tomatoes in the ground, I couldn't because it was just too cold, especially at night. And then, as soon as the first day of spring hit, it was as if someone flipped on a switch. And there the heat was. I just couldn't win. So now I don't know if I'm going to get tomatoes or not. But with 14 tomato plants altogether, I'm hoping that I get at least 10 pounds. We're back at my cucumbers again. They're full of blossoms, but I've noticed that a lot of them are male blossoms. I hope that won't be an issue. What do you think? Well, I decided not to take a chance. So just in case, I direct sowed some more seeds in front of them. Hopefully they'll germinate. If not, I'll start more inside like I did before. This is a lesson in not giving up. So let's take a look back. I'm so excited about my little garden. I can't wait to see what happens. I'll keep you posted. Thank you for watching.